Hello, beloveds. On this sad occasion and also celebration of life of John Trent Kenelly, I welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Clemson. I'm the Reverend Holly Brown, and it is my honor to be here with you today. We come together to remember Trent and to celebrate his life, but also to come and say goodbye. We come first to remember Trent, to remember him as he was long ago and as he was when you saw him last or spoke to him last, to remember him in his moments of joy or pleasure and in his moments of sadness. In our remembering, we celebrate not just who he was, but also what his life has meant and will always mean. In the midst of celebrating Trent's life, we must recognize that it is also a time that may bring sadness and mourning of the absence, as stories are shared here today. As Unitarian Universalists, we begin and end each of our services with a chalice lighting, a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. And today we light this chalice in honor of Trent. Let us celebrate the power of memory to give us hope. Let us pray for a power of memory that helps us heal. Let us honor the many gifts that were given by our beloved. Our challenge is to affirm and to celebrate. To celebrate the joy, the goodness, and the beauty of life. We light this chalice as a beacon of light to illuminate the memories held dear. Come, let us celebrate the life and the memory of Trent Kenelly.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to read you guys a short quote in French that Trent used to read to his kids. C'est la vie, c'est la mort, c'est l'amour, c'est la garde. In English, this directly translates to, it's life, it's death, it's love, and it's care.
During the next 30 or so minutes, we are going to invite the family and close friends to come forward and use the mic at the front of the sanctuary to share whether it is small memories or perhaps a way in which he touched your life personally that you would like to share. Whether it's his companionship, his wisdom, his spirit, his perseverance, his humor, his encouragement. how it's impacted your own lives, or this fun story, something that you would like to share as a memory of Trent. And we'll start with his family and anyone that would like to then come up and share. And as just a logistics note, be careful of the feet. We don't want anybody to trip.
Thank you, Reverend Holly. My name is John Ward. I am a retired dentist from New Orleans, Louisiana. Trent was my first cousin. His dad, Bill, whom many of you know, and my mother, Mary, sitting on the second row here, were brother and sister. Trent and I shared a lot in common. We're both bald-headed men. Follicularly challenged, I believe, is the word that we're supposed to use in this current culture. And Trent never lacked for a story. Trent and I share a lot in common in that respect as well. One of the greatest memories of Trent for me was going to Gulf Shores, Alabama on particular weekends of Memorial Day. We would gather together as a couple of families, and Morgan and Gabby and Aiden, I know you guys were young, and Lynn, it was always a logistics to bring young children down to the beach. But Trent was an awesome sand builder. He could put together some things in the sand that were really unique, and I appreciated that about his gifts and his talents. I met Lee, one of the Toastmaster friends, in this afternoon, and Lee and I were sharing together that Trent was very, very good at public speaking. He had a charm and he had a wit, and many of you are recipients of the grace of that. Trent and I shared also a love for investigating truth, and he and I would get into some great discussions about what is truth, and there were a lot of areas of transcendence that we uncovered together. And he would often remark to me, John, I am not ready to embrace your Christian faith. And I said, Trent, any time that you want to visit with me about the one who said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, I am more than glad to sit and talk with you. We had great discussions together, never heated, never rolling over into any areas that were out of bounds. But I love Trent's engagement and truth, and that's what I will always remember about him.
Yes, I realize not all of us are vertically challenged like me, so I'm going to adjust the mic. And then if folks are shorter, we can tip it down.
Move it down. Okay. Hey guys, I'm Ashley, and those of y'all who know me know that I grew up riding horses with Gabby and Morgan, and Aiden sometimes. But yeah, so I spent a lot of time with them, and Gabby and I basically spent every waking hour together when we were 16 years old in high school. And so there were a couple nights where I'd go over to Gabby's house on a Tuesday or Wednesday, which was a big deal for me because weeknight sleepovers were not allowed. So, but I think that shows that Gabby and the Kenelly family was basically kind of my family. And so there were a couple Taco Tuesday nights, some lasagna dinners, and Trent always, Mr. Kenelly, I feel weird saying Trent, always made sure that he wasn't surprised when I walked in the door, or always made me feel very welcome. So yeah, just says a lot about the whole family and him.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa Berry, and Trent was a very good friend of mine. All of us in Toastmasters had a friend in Trent, and I would like you all just to know that we feel your pain, and we will miss him terribly. But I know my friend would not want me to stand here and cry. My friend would want me to share 3 short stories with you. Trent, Alan, and I served as district leadership back in 2019 and 20. We got to go to Paris together. We got to tour Paris together. We got to train in Paris together. And we had such a good time that we nicknamed ourselves the Three Musketeers. And when I first spoke to Alan the other day, that was the first thing that he said to me. We were the Three Musketeers. And yes, my friend, we were the Three Musketeers, and we did the best we could and served. And Trent was always there to put a smile on our face. Every dad joke everybody could ever possibly hear, he told. Maybe once, twice, 3 times, or more. Trent, for those of you that may not know, not only had a fabulous sense of humor, but he also had a penchant, like myself, for parliamentary procedure. And I shared this story with you because I know that they're both up there right now looking down on us. Because we did lose another friend that was a parliamentarian in our district just a couple months ago, who was a good friend to both of us as well. And the year that Robert and Trent served with me, we often had what I would call friendly jousting parliamentary sessions via Zoom. So much so that a lot of times they ended with Trent saying, "I am going to beat you both with a pool noodle the next time I see you." Because we had this way of bantering with one another back and forth. Dear Toastmaster friends, and especially family, my heart goes out to all of you. But I know that our friends and your family member are fighting with those pool noodles up in the sky.
There are a number of us from Toastmasters here today, and you don't want to hear us all speak because we're accustomed to giving 5 to 7 minute speeches each. And you don't want to be here that long. But what I would like to do is take just a minute or 2 to show you our tribute to Trent by our presence. And if my Toastmasters friends would just join us here at the front for just a minute, just to say, Trent, we are here with you. We're here for you. We are here for your friends, for your family. We are here because we loved you as a fellow Toastmaster, as a wonderful leader in our organization. And we came today to show our love and our care and our admiration for who you are. You will always be in our hearts. We will embrace you. As Lisa made reference to, we've lost other Toastmaster friends and other members of our Toastmasters family just in the past 4 months. It's inconceivable how out of the small district of South Carolina Toastmasters, we could lose so many special people out of our lives. And all we can do is to represent them well by carrying on and being strong. So friends, thank you for being here for Trent, for being here for his family, for being here for his friends. As district director this year, my heart goes out to you for the love you have shown in that. I won't tell them they can't speak, but I will ring the bell if they go very long.
I'm next. Hi, I'm Donna Rice. I was the second when Trent was the district director. The year that he was the director and we had a conference, I was responsible for the keynote speaker. The keynote speaker was not prepared when it was her time to speak. It was she came on virtually. 15 minutes before it was her time to speak, she hadn't logged on. I texted her, I didn't get a response. So I called her. Sleepily, she said to me, "What day is it?" And I said, "It's the day you're delivering the keynote speech." And she said, "Oh dear, what time is it?" And I told her what time it was, and she said, "But I have an hour." And I said, "No, ma'am, we're in South Carolina." She was in Texas. She said, "Oh, can you give me 10 minutes? And I said, "Well, you've got 15. And she said, "Well, can you give me 25? And I'm like, "Yes, we can handle that." So I went on stage and I said to Trent, "She's not coming on until 10 minutes after she's supposed to." He said, "That's okay, we got this." So Trent regaled us with his dad jokes for 10 minutes, and then he looked over at me, and I shrugged my shoulders because she still hadn't logged on, and she wasn't answering my text now, and I really didn't want to call her. So then Trent started to tease the people in the audience. He jibbed and jabbed with Douglas Wilson, who was actually on virtually, and with Bruce Williamson with about the bald head, and with anybody else in the audience that would tease him back and forth. To make a long story short, for 40 minutes, Trent stood on the stage and entertained District 58, because that's how long it took her to log on. So the rest of the story is this. Trent was interviewing for a job recently, and he said to me, so the interviewer said something about some job skills, I said, that were clearly listed on my resume. He said, and I didn't bother to tell them that I had the ability to ad-lib to an audience for 40 minutes. I said to him, "You're not going to let me live that down, are you?" And he said, "No, but I am going to get a present for Felicia. It's going to be a whiteboard so she can keep the district director informed in case he has to ad-lib for the next 40 minutes. So today I gave her, in memory of Trent, a whiteboard and the erasers. But I want to tell you all that, like Lisa, we feel your pain. We loved Trent. I loved Trent. And I'm sorry for your loss. But he loved you. When I talked to him, which was 3 times a week, he talked about every one of you almost every time I talked to him.
There's a saying I heard recently that I've kind of taken to heart, and that is, all the things we say at funerals, we should say at birthday parties. And that's really true here. I can't tell you how many times that Trent and I have talked about going canoeing down the river. He's invited us. We set it up like, oh, wait, water's too high. There was always some reason why we couldn't do it. So that delay cost us that time with Trent. Now, I did have the opportunity to roast him after his district director year, so I was able to share a number of things about him that I would say here. But I'll say to you all, there's three things that I really think of when I think of Trent. And one is, you know, Dana and I live in the area. We went to his house a number of times, and we never left his house without food. He always said, here, take this. I have this, take this. Always good food, maybe not good for you, but it was always good food. The second is his obscure references. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this. There's one time he said something about some number, I forgot what, 3242 or something. Okay, she's heard it before, okay. And he looked at me expecting me to go, oh, yeah, yeah. And it was the cell number of Les Miserables of somebody, and yeah, I was like, okay. So it was a very educational experience talking with Trent. And the final thing is, he would almost always end the conversation with, let me leave you with a funny. So, as I'm sure his family's painfully aware, he was a master of the dad joke, and he always was willing to share with his friends. So that's my memory of Trent, and in his memory, I'm not going to try to leave you with a funny today, but I will encourage you the next time you're at a birthday party to think about what it is you would say at their funeral, and say it. Thank you.
I guess it's my turn, since I was the recipient of all of those piles of food. I didn't serve with Trent. I had the almost uncomfortable role of being Trent's mentor in Toastmasters, because when you get outside the district, there's this thing called a region advisor. Now, I was having some serious imposter syndrome, and then this weird thing happened. The world shut down, and everything went virtual. And I was not hired for my tech skills. But we, as leaders, had to go from supposedly training in Paris with these lovely people to figuring out how to do all of it 100% virtually and do it flawlessly. So between my techie husband and Trent, I somehow managed to learn the Zoom. I had Trent's extra, I don't think it was a laptop. Somebody will probably tell me it was a monitor. But anyway, it was, it was electronic-y. And I had all these cables and wires, and whenever I had a need, Bob and Trent would talk about these really weird things, talk about obscure references. I don't even know what they were talking about, some kind of plug and this wire, and all I know is that when I went on camera, I had everything that I needed because Trent would drive to my house and help us set everything up. And I have a lot of other stories to tell about Trent. But when we talk about those obscure references, part of my job was to try to teach him how to talk to other people. I said, Trent, honey, you were dealing with a team, and you've got to talk to this entire district of Toastmasters. I'm like, sweetie, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, you have to, I know that you're speaking English, but that's as far as I've gotten. Like, you really need to speak more clearly, and you need to not send emails with obviously, and then some other words and a period, and hit send. So I spent this delightful time both mentoring Trent and being mentored by him. Thank you.
you're the only district director who hasn't spoken yet.
And for correction, I was not a district director. I'm old enough to have been a district governor many years ago. And it was during that period of time between the mid-2000s and the early 2010s that I would happen to be in Charleston for a conference we were having, and Trent was in the process of thinking about trying to run for an elected position. And he was a little bit complaining because he's from the upstate. This conference was in the down low country, and he was saying, when are they going to hold a conference in the upstate so I can run for office? Because he felt there was a home court advantage in being there. But what I found most intriguing about Trent is his wonderful ability to really understand and work with people. I wasn't gifted with that. I had to grow into it, and I'm still growing into it, as many would say. But he would call me, and I would see on my phone, it was Trent. I said, what's he calling me for? Because I'm a past district governor, and nobody pays any attention to past district governors. They just take over and they say, well, we're going to run things this way and do these things this way and use their team. And they hardly ever go back and refer to people who had been prior leaders in the district. And I've been around this district for over 25 years, so he felt maybe I might have some wisdom to impart to him. What I found out is he had more wisdom to impart to me than I had for him. But we had great conversations on the phone. And during that pandemic, we used to banter back and forth in the virtual world, because I am a techie. So I'd always have some kind of a creative background behind me. I had a green screen, so it always looked good. And we were both interested in science fiction, Star Trek, etc. We both had a great love for dad jokes, and we both had a great love for music. So I would end up being his DJ during those interim times on the virtual world where we had this little lull, and I'd grab my phone and pull up a piece of music and play it. And that's why I wore, in honor of him, my musical tie today. And we had more fun doing that and bantering back and forth with dad jokes. But I'll leave you with this. People leave a legacy for us by the memories they leave in our minds and the happiness they live in our hearts. And he has done that for me, and I know he's done that for you. I swear I wasn't going to get emotional. But Trent was a good friend, and I know each of you feels that same way that we do. Some are better able to express it, others aren't able to express it, but we have that memory and that happiness that we carry with us. And nobody is truly ever gone as long as till that last person leaves that remembers.
I promise I won't be long. I just have one question. Was Trent a fisherman? He had to be, because he weaved an awful long, tall tail. That's all I'm going to say. He was a great friend. He'll be missed. And I'm also a lot like Trent, tall and follically challenged. Is that what you said? Yeah, that too.
I'm not a Toastmaster, and I don't speak in public hardly ever. I speak to my patients every day because I, too, like my brother, I'm a dentist. Oh, sorry. Toastmaster says speaking the microphone. I'm Ashley Fish, and Trent was my cousin. And sorry, kids. I'm terrible at this, but Trent and I were closer in age than my siblings, and he was at many of our family functions. And the one thing I wanted to tell everybody is that he had a strong sense of family. In every family gathering that we had, no matter if it was a wedding or, a funeral, but Thanksgivings, or the beaches, he did his very best to get the kids there, no matter if it was dragging them all along and out to the beach. And he just had that very strong sense of family. And I wanted to share that with everybody because to me, that's what it's about, is how much we love each other and that we care for each other. And I believe that I'll see him in heaven one day, and God willing, that I love these kids, and I want all of us to lift them up the rest of their lives and be there for them, because I know he'd want that for them.
So, Toastmasters, y'all are something. I'm impressed. Trent told me about this a long time ago, and I had no idea what Toastmasters were, but I'm so glad you're here today, and all of you. We're definitely going to miss Trent. And Trent was to me, he wasn't just tall. He was a formidable, he was a strong personality, but he's so quiet too. And I think it took me a year to learn how to shake his hand. I hope you like that, Trent. It's true. Wasn't that a great picture? You know, that photo captures that smug look on his face. I loved it, though. It endeared him to me. But yeah, I remember he was working with us. I'm David Fishburne from Boda Pipes and Cigars, and Trent was with us for many years. Smoked way too much. I couldn't stop him, but it's Trent. And but anyway, I remember I would shake his hand. Hey, how you doing? And he would crush my hand. And you know, he worked on a farm, and it got worse when he was working on the farm, because he could do hole diggers. I mean, he didn't need a fence post digger. He would just do them. He could do it. Am I right? Yeah. And so, but anyway, after a while, I learned, it took me a while, but after about a year, I learned to go deep. You had to get in there and engage that hand, and then he would not destroy your fingers. And, but I loved him. Spending time during quiet times, if we were at the shop together. He worked with us for a number of years, and he was very good. But the puns, oh my gosh, throwing puns back and forth, how much we enjoyed that. And I mean, we would just, and I was a little brother and in my family, and I was a real little brother, so I'd learned to be obnoxious. And although I was Trent Sr., I could be more obnoxious than he could. Yes, I know it. But we considered it, and we would banter that back and forth. But I remember the puns would go back and forth, and then he would walk away, and he'd think this was done, and then I'd throw another one out, and it would start up again, because he would always stand up to the fight and to the challenge, not a fight. It was all fun. But anyway, yes, we're going to miss him. And love to you guys. I know it's going to be tough, but you know, he lives a great life. And it's a good example for all of us. I mean, you can tell he was engaged on many different levels in life, and what a raging mind he had, and which I loved. You know, the fact that he knew some stuff. But anyway, just wanted to say that.
So I'm Alicia Mansuetti, and I'm here. I think I'm the only one maybe to speak besides Ashley from the Foxfire family. So Foxfire is a farm here that Lynn and Trent and their beautiful family were a part of for many, many years. And the Foxfire daughter, Debbie, is here So I just wanted to share with y'all, we heard about his Toastmasters and his family, but through the Foxfire family, Trent was also a small cowboy. So we used to have adult lessons, writing lessons together that many of us enjoyed for many years, group lessons. And Trent would come out and ride in the group lessons sometimes. I'd never seen anybody with as long a legs as Trent on an Arabian horse, except for maybe Aiden now. And one of my fondest memories I wanted to share, just something quick, was Len had a horse named Sonny. And Sonny liked to rear. Sonny could walk on his back legs and look like a giraffe. And one day, Len let Trent ride Sonny in the lesson. And what did Sonny do? He went up, hi-ho silver. And I was like, oh my God, he's gonna flip over backwards, and I better go get the car because we're going to the emergency room. Len yelled at him, grab the neck. He grabs the neck, holds on. Sonny comes back down, and I'm like, phew, he's alive. It's all good. And Trent was like, what's next?
I said, get down.
He didn't, but he came down. So anyway, our Foxfire family loves this family, and we just hope that God grants y'all peace and comfort during your time of sorrow. We love you.
Hi, my name is Steve Newman. I come from Trent's third or fourth or fifth family, his work family. Trent was my first mentor ever in my career, and he gave us, myself, a whole lot of things. And just wanted to say one thing, that there's only two faces in this room that I recognize, and I've been distant, but I know all of you by story. And he was prolific with his stories and his dad jokes, which he also passed to me and I have brought up to the Asheville community, so it's spreading like wildfire. But aside from Lynn and Trent, I haven't met anybody here before. And yeah, Aiden, yeah, Gabby, Morgan. And I recognize you now from the stories and from the text group, the trivia group, so thank you. So that had been an amazing thing, and yeah, my heart broke when you told us, and the very next day you sent the next text. So it was really important. But I'm saddened and I'm happy to get to see everybody here, and that it's on Trent's celebration of life that I get to put everything together as a picture. So I just want to say thank you. I'm so sorry for everything you're going through. He loved you all. He loved you all, and all your speaky thingies, which we used to call them. And I love you, Trent. So, thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Whoa, I thought I was going to prepare for this. I'm Rodney Harrison. Me and Trent were roommates in college. We met back, late 80s. And well, my only story with Trent is when we met, Trent had a Carmen Ghia, orange Carmen Ghia convertible. And that year at Lander, it snowed. And we was like, we have no knickknacks, no munchies. So the two of us climbed into a Carmen Ghia, let the top down with snow. You should have seen the looks of the people. They're like, hey, remember, Carmen Ghia is very low. So Trent sits up there, I'm like, and people are like, Rodney, what are you doing? He says, it's the power sled. That's what's the power sled for. We can go to the grocery store, get our supplies, and go back to the room. So, when we formed a long friendship between me and him, and wow, 20 plus years, I've seen all of them come into the world and everything else, but he was like my brother. And I'm gonna miss him, but I want y'all to know that y'all are in my hearts. And not about what I can say, because I can't say no more, but Everyone have a great evening. Remember Trent in there's different ways, because Trent was, like you said. Now, Toastmasters group, I appreciate y'all, because y'all supported my cigar habit when y'all went to Paris. I mean, I got back to see 2 Monte Cristos. He said, these are for you. And see, and Mr. David, also, I appreciate you because you sent the Alex Bradley 40 project. So I have a great thank you for you also. So I was able to sample different things. Lynn used to make, when we was around, a mean potato soup. And I'm gonna tell you, she got to give me the recipe for that. So I'm now cooking for myself. Other than that, we're doing good. You will.
I don't have a recipe.
You still never told me the way you did it. But otherwise, this is, like you said, a celebration of him. And I've known him a long time, so I'm gonna sign off now, but everyone have a good evening. And you know y'all need me, call me.
These have been such precious memories that have been shared. So I have one interaction with Trent. I called him to check in and see if he needed anything. And he assured me that he had plenty of people helping make sure he had what he needed. And wow, all of you that came here today, showing up for him and sharing stories about him, showed just how true that was. And through your stories, I feel like I got to know him a little bit, and I am honored that you've shared those here today. My heart goes out to his family, to his beloved friends, all of you that are experiencing the end of his life, but death is only one ending. It is not the final end. As was mentioned earlier, his life will live on through each of you until his name is spoken for the last time by the last one of you here, and even those that come after you. He continues to exist through your love of one another, through the love of all of the different things that he cared about in this world. And it is clear that he had a tremendous impact on many of you gathered here. And there have been so many moments of joy celebrated here, as well as the sadness and the tears that come from these memories. But I hope that you will carry those with you, both the good and the sad. And I wish to share these words with you from Albert Hofstadter called The Cure, because I feel in this moment, don't rush to seek a cure. Know that you need the time to process all of this. So these words are that I want to give to you. We think we get over things. We don't get over things. Or we say we get over the measles, but not a broken heart. We need to make that distinction. The things that become part of our experience never become less a part of our experience. How can I say it? The way we get over life is to die. Short of that, you move with it. Let the pain be the pain. Let the joy be the joy. Not in a hope that it will all vanish, but in faith that it will fit in and be not any less pain, but true to form, because anything natural has an inherent shape and will flow towards it. And a life is as natural as a leaf. That's what we're looking for. not the end of a thing, but the shape of it. And there is not an end to Trent's light, to his connections. Each of you carry on the shape of it. And so we will now hold a moment of silence for any of the remembrances that you want to hold in your heart, any prayers that you wish to lift up in silence. And after just a couple of moments, Corey will play some music for us. Before I share our closing words, I want to invite you all to join us down at the end of the hall in the social room for some refreshments that have been provided, and have the opportunity to continue to share these wonderful stories that you all have with one another. Our closing words come from Greg Ward. It says, "We cannot extinguish the love. We have come to share the loss that we have felt with Trent's passing, and some examples of the joy that we carry from his life. This we have done, but before we extinguish this chalice, let us acknowledge that we will not, that we cannot extinguish the love that he showed us, or the memory of him, or the love that we carry forward. The lives of those gathered here have absorbed so much light from Trent. You will continue to reflect that light into the lives of the people you meet for years to come. May we always be able to see that light as it is reflected in one another. And remember and smile knowing that his light is shining from you too."